And this is, all right. This is first for all, for in person for the last 2 years, and it's always a lot of fun. We get to see old alumni come back and impress us with their deeds, and shows that accountants can in fact be very good looking. And we have an incredibly well-rounded panel today. What I'm going to do at first is I'm going to introduce the individuals on the panel, and then I'm going to go back and call them and let them tell us about themselves. All right, so not in order of importance, just in order of presentation. We have Jordan and Josh Llano. We also have Christopher Castillo. We have Suzanne Ghannam. We have Christie Velasco. And we have Roxanne Meyer. And also for the Q&A questions, we have some of the members of the YLG, and we look forward to them. And I also like to thank for participating today a couple of professors, Kate Tatum and Jackie Collins, and Dan Medina is in the background, making sure that we do everything right. So at this point in time, I'd like to go back to the Llano brothers, Jordan and Josh, and talk to us, impress us.
Well, thank you, Manny, for that riveting introduction there. Hopefully we do it justice here, but I'm Josh Llano.
And I'm Jordan Llano.
No relation.
And we are the Llano brothers!
Yeah, I'm the older one, and he's the embarrassing, less attractive one. And then, well, basically, so I'm Josh. I work at Berkowitz Pollock Brandt. I'm a manager in the forensic and advisory services practice. I've been there for about 3 years now, and I graduated UM undergrad in 2012. Wow. And then I got my MBA in 2014. After graduating from UM, I did a little audit at a local accounting firm, Perez Abreu Aguirre Suero Torres. And then I did some tax accounting for another small accounting firm before finding my fit a little bit in fraud investigations at EY, and then working at Berkowitz doing forensic accounting. So,
and then, so I was very fortunate enough to also attend UM. I graduated with my undergrad in accounting in the fall of 2014, and then I was fortunate enough to do my master's with several of the teachers that we have here today. So it's just great, seeing everyone and still being so close to University of Miami. When I graduated my master's in the spring of 2016, once I graduated in the fall of 2014, I immediately did a winter internship with Deloitte. That was in the spring or winter of 2015. It was after I graduated my master's in the fall of 2016 that I started working for Deloitte in audit. And I'm happy to say that I've been there 4 years now, and I just became a senior 3. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the process, and definitely not as exciting as forensics, but we try to keep it, luckily I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of cool clients, but we'll get into that. And so I'll let you go talk about forensics a little more.
I was going to say, did we get in the walking music? Because they started moving the slides already. So,
okay.
I guess we're keeping it on us. All right. So, I guess just a little bit about forensic accounting. For those of you who are maybe interested in forensics or don't know what forensics is, forensic accounting is very comprehensive. It encompasses lots of different types of services. I know that in undergrad at UM, sometimes, at least when I was there, forensic accounting, they didn't offer, in 2012 undergrad, they didn't offer any classes for forensic accounting, if I recall. But from what I've heard now, I know that they've expanded a lot of the course offerings to include it. So I think that that's pretty cool. But forensic accounting encompasses, at least the things that I specialize in are fraud investigations and financial statement fraud, looking for fraud schemes within financial statements. I also do business valuation. Business valuation is a little bit more math intensive. Currently we have one of our interns who is studying for data analytics. She's minoring in data analytics and she's majoring in math. Shout out to Nikki Bolden. And So, aside from, forensics, the things that I do, business valuations and fraud schemes, they're also forensic encompasses forensic technology services, which is e-discovery, data analytics. There's so many different things, I guess, that encompass forensic accounting that it's really hard to describe in a nutshell, but at least you got a little taste of the things that I do. And then I guess as we move on to the Q&A, we can talk about it a little bit more, but I guess I'll let Jordan go ahead with the audit.
So in audit, these last 4 years, I've been very fortunate, I think, in the area and industries that I've been working with. I've really been focusing in gaming and racing. And so a lot of the cool things about my job, things I like the most is the clients and the industry that I work with. I definitely remember when I was an undergrad, going through all the classes and the lectures. And I know
you didn't go to all the classes.
I did go to the lab. Tatum took attendance. I know I could not skip that one.
I didn't go to all.
I had to go to that one for sure. Oh my God. And so one of the things I remember wondering is, about it was going to be for me. But once you start accounting and once you start audit, at least in this field, you really learn that it extends beyond the debits and credits and extends beyond all the financial instruments, even though, those are crucial. It extends beyond all that. One of the great things about one of the jobs I work with is I audit a group that owns the most thoroughbred racetracks all over the United States. And so I get to go travel, throughout the year to these racetracks and audit the races that take place. And I have to go, and I'm also involved in other casino audits where I'm walking through the gaming floors and I'm meeting all the vault cashiers and I'm meeting all the pit bosses and, performing things, internal control testing in these areas and trying to help these casinos in implementing new controls and see where they can improve. And being able, in some certain cases, being able to go into the actual vault of these casinos and making sure that all the guidelines that they are supposed to be following, that they are following, and if there's anything that we could add to better them. And so that's really what I've really come to really enjoy, is helping these clients beyond auditing their financial statements, which is a crucial part, obviously. And it's a lot of fun because when you actually get on the field and be part of these companies and being able to actually, help them grow throughout the couple years, the few years that I've been there, it really is a great feeling. And it just shows, how all these jobs now, it's expanding just beyond the day-to-day auditing the financial statements. There's definitely, and especially I know in Big Four and beyond Big Four, there's so many more avenues, so many more industry lines. So that's one reason that Josh and I like to come back and try to, talk to people about accounting, talk to them about the Master's in Accounting program, talk to them about majoring, because these are not only is it the major that, we're for sure going to get jobs where we have that assurance in that sense. It's beyond the financial statements. It's going to be beyond tax. It goes in, there's several lines, and if it wasn't for UM, we really wouldn't be here.
And it's just to give really our experiences, just the way that all the other panelists here is really just to give our experiences within each one of our fields and the things that we've gone through since graduating, because there's definitely, I guess, no guarantee that you're going to know exactly what you want to do when you graduate. I definitely didn't. Sometimes I still don't know, but you play it by ear, and just based on your experiences, that's the only thing that hopefully we can talk to you guys about, answer any of your questions to help guide you through. So.
And I also want to point out thing that, you guys are all I think we're all very fortunate to also just be part of UM. A lot of people that I work with today at Deloitte are UM. There's some kids that I even went and are classmates with that I work with today, which is the wildest part, but it's really just because that UM connection is so strong. It's almost as close as a family connection. It's almost there, but it still is very close, and that's why we like to give back, because we've been given so many opportunities because of UM that, I would just always stress to make sure you are close to your classmates and you guys are bumping ideas off each other. And even you were going through a recruiting process to I know you might seem competitive, but these are the kids that, later down the line, you might, you'll have questions for, and they might be able to do favors for you if you're looking for switch firms or switch lines. And it's great to just, all these kids at UM, one of the great things is you're surrounded by such smart people. So I would just point to always, be making sure you're making those connections and you're, always opening up those bubbles around you and just growing that network.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Jordan. Well done. Very impressive, both of you. All right, so now we go to Mr. Christopher Castillo. Talk to us.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for joining us this evening. As Manny mentioned, my name is Chris Castillo. And just to give you guys a little bit of background on myself, I was born and raised here in Miami. I graduated from the University of Miami in 2012 with my BSBA in accounting. I later ended up completing my MST degree in 2013, also at the University of Miami. Shortly after graduating in May of 2013, I began my accounting tax career at Alvarez & Marsal, also known as A&M. My first 2 years there majorly worked with federal and international tax, eventually ending up with a specialization in state and local tax, which I've been doing for the past 5 years. Some of you may not even be aware of this firm, as it's not one of the typical Big Four accounting names that are usually discussed during your classes and recruiting events. Just to give you a little background, A&M is considered more of a mid-sized firm, but we do have locations all across the U.S. and around 4 continents. We have more than 5,000 employees, more than 65 offices, and within 26 countries. We've generated over $1 billion in revenue over the last 3 years, and we just continue to grow exponentially. I would definitely describe A&M itself as having a Big Four presence in the industry based on the clientele and the engagements that employees are allowed to work on, but also it provides a warmth of a family-centered atmosphere, and that's what pretty much drew me to this firm and why I haven't really kind of bounced around or seeked other opportunities. Typically, A&M doesn't really fall under the spectrum of an accounting firm. We're technically considered a consulting firm just because of the vast number of service lines that we're offered. We do services from anywhere from transaction advisory to comps and benefits to forensic accounting. We don't just typically focus on tax. I believe this is one of the reasons why I've actually been able to succeed within the industry. Working closely with other service lines within the broader A&M, I've been able to network with professionals outside of the tax industry, and because of that, in the process of doing so, I've been able to bring in additional work to the firm and expand my business knowledge. As the Llano brothers mentioned, networking is a key component to success. The connections and relationships I made while completing my undergraduate career and during the master's program invaluably contributed to my personal growth within the industry. As you continue to progress through your undergraduate and now some of your graduate studies, just be very proactive in building connections and attempt to network with as many individuals as possible. You never know who you'll need assistance from later on in your career. I remember one time, my wife and I were in Napa Valley, and we were doing a wine tour, and we did one of those semi-private trans where it's just you and another couple, and we had a couple drinks, visited a couple wineries, and we became friends with the other couple. And down the line, I ended up seeing that one of the investors in one of my clients was that guy. So you really never know. Thank God I didn't make a fool out of myself out there. But you never really know who you're going to meet along the way. So just be mindful of that as you progress through your careers and as you develop your career path. When I was going and continuing my education at UM, I never really imagined that I would be working outside the typical Big Four. I always, when I first came into the accounting world, I was like, all right, I'm either going to be at Deloitte or I'm going to be at PwC. And now 7 years later, as I reflect on all the accomplishments I've had throughout the year, I'm definitely extremely happy of making the right choice and joining A&M. Contrary to the general public beliefs or what you've heard in school, practicing in a Big Four firm is not the only way to succeed within the industry. I was promoted before my 5-year mark at the firm to a manager, or in our firm we call it director. And currently, I'm based on discussions on partner track, which to me those are accomplishments that I can be significantly proud of. And it really doesn't matter what firm you end up in or what firm you pursue. It's really what you make out of it. I became way more appreciative of my firm, especially now during COVID-19, where, during these times, you'll see other firms and industries furloughing and cutting bonuses. Our firm actually, did the complete opposite. We hired young professionals. We continued to grow. We had a big intern class. We did hear from other interns that reached out that, their internships got cut short. Some of these firms didn't even allow to do them, and we went ahead. We did it virtually. Definitely was tough. Not something that was easy, but we got through with it, and it helped build our name even more, as these young interns were appreciative of the opportunity that we gave them. So just, as you're going through this process, just make sure you soak it all in, and really take this effort with full effort. We're definitely fortunate at the firm right now. We're definitely, projected to surpass our numbers. And that goes a long way. One reason why this proves that it's possible to complete is because our firm is able to adapt to the market. We offer, like I mentioned before, a vast number of service lines, and these different sectors are what allow us to grow into the market trends. Some years our restructuring group can be very successful, while other years our transaction acquisition group is going to be even healthier. As you consider your own career paths, don't allow the horror stories of the accounting industry to really deter you from the career path. I know some of you have heard, like, oh, if you do tax, you're going to be sitting in a desk or in a chair. That's technically not really the case. I've traveled sporadically. That really depends on the clientele that you have. Sometimes I've traveled to New York, to California, Atlanta. It really depends on where my client base is. I know one time I had gone to New York for the McGregor fight. One of my clients is UFC. So I was able to go out there for one of the conferences that they had, and be able to partake in that. Public accounting is definitely demanding, and it's time-consuming career path, but it's definitely something that's very rewarding and worthwhile, in my opinion. It's a reliable career where you're going to have job security. Since we all know taxes are never going anywhere, it's something that's always going to carry on for the rest of our lives. It's never going to cease to exist. Whereas some of these other professions within the other financial industries, it's going to fluctuate and temper based on the way the economy is going to go. So just to conclude, and just to reiterate the importance of networking and creating connections along the way, your presence today shows that you're eager and you're willing to begin building connections while developing your own career path. Make sure that you take part of every single opportunity given to you here at the University of Miami. With the virtual career fair coming up on Friday, make sure that you're very prepared and that you do your due diligence of each firm that you're interviewing for. There's nothing better than being over-prepared. Just continue to take the advantages and the opportunities given here at the school, and feel free to reach out to me via LinkedIn if you guys have any other questions. Thank you all for your time, and go Canes.
Great job, Christopher. Thank you. That was very, very enthralling, especially the wine drinking part. I like that part. All right, so now we're going to go to Suzanne Ghannam, and she can tell us what she did. Go ahead, Suzanne.
Hi, everyone. My name is Suzanne Ghannam. I am an audit supervisor from RSM out of the Miami office. So I actually went to UM. I got my undergrad at UM back in 2015. I actually went to school with Jordan and some of the other, YLG members. And then I also got my master's degree at UM in 2016. It was not in the accelerated program or anything like that. So just to give you a background as far as why I decided to choose accounting, I actually started off my first years at UM undeclared. I came into the College of Arts and Sciences, had no idea what I wanted to do. Took a bunch of different classes my first couple of years, and then I transferred into the business school in my sophomore year and decided to take the 211 class with, with Seth Levine, and had a really, really liked his class overall. And then took Mario Perez's class, the 212 class. Also really liked that class. Went to the accounting career fair, I think the fall semester of my junior year, and just hit it off with a couple of the different firms, RSM being one of them, and ended up getting a internship with RSM pretty early on, even though I wasn't in the accelerated program. And I'll say overall, I didn't really know what I was walking into with majoring in accounting at that point. I mean, I had just decided to major in accounting at the beginning of my junior year. And I think overall, just, interning in public accounting gives you such you really learn so much in that one, 3-month period that you don't really, get in school or in the textbooks. And that's one thing that I really want to reiterate to all of you guys. It's, when you're taking classes, you're learning about the different theories of audit. You're learning about so many different things that you obviously have to apply, for the CPA exam to pass that, and, for a career in public accounting. But the day-to-day is very different. And that's one thing that I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed my day-to-day working in public accounting during my internship and during my full time, that I didn't, it's different, when you're sitting in a classroom. So that's just kind of my background. Like I said, my first years, I had no idea, decided to, go into it after, interning and after taking a couple of accounting classes. And I really liked the professors at UM. So overall, my career at RSM, I've been at RSM for about 4 years now. What I really like most about working in the audit world is I'm speaking face-to-face with my clients. I'm working with different team members. I'm helping my clients solve problems, reviewing financial statements of publicly traded companies. You understand how their business works. A lot of people say that accounting and auditing is the language of business. And when, you're getting your client's financial statements and you're looking at it for the first time, the draft financial statements, you're reviewing the income statement, the balance sheet, you're looking for things and you really understand your client more than anyone else does. So you're looking at cash, you're performing audit procedures over cash and accounts receivable, and these different line items within the financial statements. You're looking at the footnotes and really, understanding them, performing audit tests, performing tests of controls, and making sure that those financial statements, are in line with GAAP and with the PCOB and all of these things. So you really learn the language of business. And I think that's one thing that people don't really realize. And it's, a little bit different actually taking a course versus actually having it in practice. As far as what you do on the day-to-day too. So if you have a Robinhood account, or if you're trading stock, or if you own stock, all of those companies are required to be audited, right? So before any of those companies release earnings, we as auditors are reviewing the financial statements. So you are impacting in a way what's going into those financial statements with different disclosures, the presentation of the financial statements, and you feel like you're kind of part of that issuance, like when a client issues financial statements in a way. So that's one thing that I really liked about working in audit, is that you're kind of helping your client to get to that finish line of issuing earnings or issuing their 10Q or their 10K, sorry. The other thing I really liked about public accounting in my time working at RSM is moving around to different clients. So in the audit world, you do travel a decent amount. Now with COVID, obviously things are a little bit different, but you're constantly learning different industries. I know my first busy season, I got put in about 6 different industries and working at RSM. So you're working with different teams, different people, you're learning different things from different people in the groups that you're working with. And you're also being exposed to different clients. Most of the firms, I would say the big 4, even after the big 4, like RSM, Grant Thornton, the different firms, they offer different industries within auditing, within tax. So you get exposure, like I got exposure to consumer products, which is not what I specialize in. You get exposure to government, not-for-profit clients. There's technology clients, there's healthcare. There's so many different industries within the audit world that you can choose from. And that's another thing that I didn't really realize, I think, when I was going through the process, that I really liked about public accounting, is once you go through like a first busy season, you do get to choose, what you like and what you don't like, and kind of specialize within those industries. Because I think the business within each of those industries is so drastically different. And you're learning so much, depending on if you're auditing a bank versus auditing a company. Like my biggest client is actually the maker of LaCroix. So the sparkling beverage LaCroix. So, auditing that is going to be much different than auditing something like a bank or a financial institution. So that's one thing that I really liked about working in public accounting in my time at RSM. The other thing is, one thing that I didn't expect is the aspect of coaching. So I was able immediately after my first busy season to start coaching interns, to start mentoring staff. So after each year, new staff are being hired, being able to mentor those new staff and interns and kind of taking them under your wing, teaching the different staff and interns on your team. So as you work in an engagement team, you're working with people below you as they get hired. So now as a senior on most of my jobs, I'm able to coach, the rising staff or the experienced staff, and kind of give them guidance and feedback as far as what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, teaching them how to do specific things. And that also helps me learn. Like when I'm teaching the people below me, it's helping me learn as well. And you get so many different, I would say, skills, from teaching those people in a team environment like that. And that's one thing I don't think people realize when they're going to work in public accounting, that you're really working in a team environment for the most part. And also one other thing that at least RSM offers, I know most of the bigger firms probably offer it as well, is that now I'm actually able as a supervisor to teach at a national level as well. So I'm able to go and teach classes across the country to, you know, a lot of our rising staff and second year staff who are just entering their second busy season, and teaching them at a national level is really cool, just being able to meet different people throughout the country and being a part of that. So overall, now I specialize in consumer products, like I said, with publicly traded clients for the most part, so SEC clients. I really love having those face-to-face interactions with my clients. You know, I do get face-to-face interaction, I would say, with the controllers, the CFOs of all of my clients. And I think overall, you're able to grow quickly within the firm. So you take on a lot early on, but you're also learning a lot early on. And that's, I think, the core of public accounting, is that there is so much to do in one day, but it is all about managing time and project management. So I think bringing a lot of those aspects into it and just kind of taking things day by day, you are learning so much in such a dense period of time. So in 4 years, I feel like I've learned so much in that amount of time. So overall, I think that's what I enjoy most about working in public accounting. For anyone that doesn't really know like if they want to major in accounting, if they're conflicted, I think I can kind of help with those questions. So feel free to reach out to me in the future. But that's kind of my spiel.
Oh, I was muted. How about that? Okay, sorry about that. Jesus, I was singing. Thank you, Suzanne. Very impressive. My apologies, Christie. Christie Velasco, you're on. Impress us.
Hi, everyone. My name is Christie Velasco. I'm going to share with you a little about my experience and about the accounting world. So a little background about me. I was born and raised in Miami. I graduated with my bachelor's in 2011 and my master's in accounting in 2012. I actually did my bachelor's in 3 years, so I finished a little earlier. So I remember straight out of high school, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew what I didn't want to do. I didn't want to do anything with, you know, blood, diseases, or, you know, nothing medical related. So I did know I wanted a job that would be stable, that paid well, that offered jobs in Miami, and had a good schedule and a place where I could grow. So I would say my parents probably influenced me to go the accounting route. My mom's an accountant, and my dad actually did electrical engineering at UM, but he got his MBA later on. So I actually came into UM as a finance major in the fall, and then ended up switching to accounting. But I thought that'd be a better option to find a job in Miami. And I actually, my first accounting course, 211, it was actually in the spring of my freshman year. And I remember it was my first B. I had gotten all A's up until that point, and I had just switched to the accounting route. So I started questioning, should I even consider going this route? But I figured I'll continue and do 212 and see how that goes. And I realized after doing 212, it was completely different. You know, there's so many different fields in accounting that you can study. And, you know, something with that class just clicked with me. So I decided to continue with the accounting major. Now, since I graduated in 3 years, my path was a little fast. I started going to career fairs my third year, which was my senior year. Which I realized was a little late I wanted a summer internship for that spring right after undergrad graduation. But a lot of these big firms, you know, hire for internships a year in advance, which I didn't know that. I had no idea about anything. But after that experience, I learned, and I was going to do my master's anyways. So I did get an internship that summer after undergrad graduation with PAST, which I think Josh also mentioned. It's a local accounting firm here in the Gables, and I did internal auditing for different banks. So that kind of started my audit background. I then continued to do my master's at UM that fall right after. And so I started going to career fairs that fall, but apparently I was too early this time. So I wanted a full-time position for spring of 2013, but I was graduating May of 2012. And they told me to come back in the spring. I went to, I spoke to different recruiters at the career fair, and they advised me to come back in the spring. So I went back in the spring, and then surprising, a lot of the recruiters remembered me. So even if you're a freshman, sophomore, or junior, I highly recommend going to career fairs, because the recruiters remember you. And if you're a good candidate and maybe the timing just wasn't right, doesn't mean, they won't select you for the future. Another thing that did help me too was I joined Beta Alpha Psi my third year in undergrad. Because I realized a lot of my friends that were in Beta Alpha Psi were getting more interviews. And, I had a decent resume, so I figured, okay, I'll join. And that actually helps you network with different firms and meet different people. And the more they remember your face, I think it really helps to get, an opportunity or an internship or full-time position. So during the spring of my master's, I actually got offers from PwC and Deloitte, but ended up going with PwC. And then for spring of 2013. So right after my master's, I decided to study for the CPA during that summer and the fall. And I actually was able to take all 4 exams, during that period of time, right before I started full time. So I also recommend to try to do the CPA exam before you start working, because you don't want to be in busy season trying to finish your last exam. So I had planned, since I finished a year early, I had room to start, in the spring versus starting in the fall. And if you start, at least at PwC, if you start in the spring, you're still considered the same start class as the fall people as well. So you're not really that behind. So in PwC, I went into auditing, since that's kind of what I had some experience in. I really didn't know what to expect. It definitely took me out of my comfort zone. Like Suzanne said, audit, usually, you never barely work in the office. You're usually at different clients. And I was never really on one big public client. So I was in almost every industry. So my main client actually was Bacardi, which, was a great experience. But I went to the cruise lines. I went to different banks. I audited a jewelry company, a candy company, a steel company, even family offices. So it was a great experience, because you actually get to go to these companies and see how they operate. So even if you don't want to do, auditing for the rest of your life, you kind of get to see, do I like this industry? Is this something I could see myself working in? And that's something, you don't really learn in school until you actually experience it. The one thing I loved about Big Four is that you're meeting different people, you're at different places, you learn about different industries. But the hours are a lot, and during busy season, and they had me traveling every now and then. Like I had to go to Costa Rica, I had to go, I went to Dallas, Atlanta. So after about 3 years, I wanted a little better work-life balance. And I switched to Alvarez & Marsal, which is where Chris works. But in the family office practice, it was a pretty new practice at the time. And I had done some audits of family offices with PwC. So I kind of liked that industry. So I thought, let me try this out. It's a new practice. And it was a great experience. I was there for about 1.5 years. But then I decided I wanted to change after that. And I actually now work at Inter-American Bank, which is my family's business. So I've been there about 3.5 years now, and it's been great. And my experience from my past firms, because banks are very regulated. Banks are audited by the OCC, by external auditors, internal auditors, and I've been on the other side, so I kind of know what they need, or and it's helped me learning with playing with Excel, analyzing data. it's amazing how not many people know how to use Excel outside of the Big Four and the accounting world. So I definitely think that's a great skill that you learn, and, you know, playing around with numbers and, you know, and everything. So actually two of my sisters, one of my sisters right now is doing auditing at PwC, and the other one's doing tax at Alvarez and Marsal. And they've been there, I would say, about a little over a year now, both of them. And it's been going well so far. So I think accounting was, you know, a great path to go with. It's definitely somewhere you can find a job and learn a lot. It's practical, and, you know, every industry needs it, and it can open doors to even other opportunities. You know, I have a friend from PwC that also started a bank app as well. And so you never know what, it could get your foot in the door anywhere. So yeah, let me know. Thank you. And let me know if you have any questions.
Great. Thank you, Christie. Very impressive. All right. So we're closing out the panel very strongly. Roxanne Meyer is on. Impress us.
Thank you very much. I'm going to be sharing my screen. Okay. Awesome. Can all of you see my screen? Great, great. I'll take the silence as yes, you can. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm just really excited to be with you all, to be amongst such amazing professionals I've heard, and just colleagues in the field of accounting and finance. I'm going to title my talk today, Living the Dream. Statistics say that if I show you a picture of my family, you're actually going to listen to me more. So here goes. So to the left of your screen, that's my sister, my brother, my mom, Juliet, my brothers Michael and my sister Samantha, and then I have my little nephew Noah and my husband Jacob. So all of my family, most of my family is back in South Africa where I'm from. Now I want to ask you a question. Do any of you have a dream? Now I know that there's a chat function, so all you have to do is yes, or have any of you ever had a dream? And the reason I start like this is because of the following. So here goes. So as early as I can remember, I had a dream to be an actress. And I grew up as the oldest of three to two South African national athletes. And we had a couple of cheetahs as pets, and we used to ride elephants to school. Not really, but I had you there for a second, didn't I? Anyway, growing up as the oldest of three to two South African national athletes, sports were expected to be in my genes. And so very quickly I realized that acting probably was out of the window and, you know, focusing on sports. And the reason I start off with the dream is because oftentimes there I am as a little girl. I'm the middle picture, just going on stage. I actually snuck out of the house to be in a play when I was 6 years old. So there I am. But really what I'm trying to get at is oftentimes living the dream is very different than dreaming the dream. And so if I had someone telling me and giving me a piece of advice, if I wished somebody could have told me something sitting in your shoes, you know, I would want to say that I would hate for you to give up on your dream. So don't give up on your dream. Because oftentimes in life, you realize very quickly that living the dream is different than dreaming the dream, because a dream is a series of images. It's a glimpse into the future. But when you're living it, right, it's 360. You can see everything going on around you. And there's things now present in your life that you didn't see in the dream, but are now part of the dream. Why? Because living the dream is different than dreaming it. And so what happens to most of us, what happened to me, is that I dream a dream, and I get a picture, and then when I start to walk out the journey, I get disillusioned along the way, because living the dream can look so much different. And so the biggest piece of advice I want to give to you tonight, if you don't leave with anything, leave with this: don't give up on your dreams. And maybe my story will be a little glimpse into why. So my journey to the Siegfried Group. So I am now an associate director and leadership advisor at the Siegfried Group. How did it start? Well, it started by getting recruited to the University of Miami on a full swimming scholarship, which changed my life. And looking back on it now, the dream was to go to the Olympics. And in some ways, the dream was to study acting, because that's what I had in my mind all those years ago as a little girl. But very quickly, I realized that with a swimming schedule, a rigorous swimming schedule, and some mentors in my life that basically told me this quote. They said, Roxy, in light of your past experiences and your current circumstances and your future hopes and dreams, what is the wise career for you to choose? What is the wise thing for you to study? And as I was thinking about my future, I knew that probably after my swimming career was over, I'd probably have to go back to South Africa. I didn't necessarily know what job opportunities were open for me. There were various complications. I'm not from here, so I was on a student visa. And yet that was a really important moment that my mentor kind of gave me and sat me down, because I realized that accounting was probably the wiser option. Yes, acting was my passion, but why? Because I've come to find out that accounting is the language of business. And through amazing professors at the University of Miami, I mean, I can't thank some of these people are on right now. I just can't thank you enough, because by teaching me that and showing me that so early on, it really set me up for my career. And so what did I do? Instead of acting, I decided to study accounting, which seems so bipolar, but I believe that that was one of the best decisions that I've ever made, because studying accounting allowed me to work for a company called Deloitte, where I became an auditor for about 4 years. And that set me up on a foundation that I will forever be grateful. So I started my career actually in public accounting. And then very early on, I realized that I was not made to be an auditor for the next duration of my life, but I didn't know what else I could be, because I studied accounting and I was in auditing and I didn't know where in industry to go. I didn't necessarily want to choose a specific industry or choose a specific corporation. And I didn't want to spend my time kind of moving around or staying in one position for a long time. I kind of still wanted to discover what my dream could kind of evolve into. And so I found a company, and here we are, called the Siegfried Group. So this was kind of an answer to my prayers, because who we are is we're a CPA firm, a professional services firm. We're the 27th largest accounting firm in the US. And what we do is we hire people, professionals, out of the big four primarily. Sometimes we'll hire out of smaller tier firms, but we hire you out of the big four. So we don't hire out of college. And so what a perfect decision that I had made for me, for my path to go into public accounting, because I could only join the Siegfried Group if I had had 3 busy seasons in public accounting. So that's one of the requirements. But what we do at Siegfried is we send our professionals out onto Fortune 1000, Fortune 500 companies to work at the direction of the client's control on very interesting and challenging tasks and projects, very high level. Our higher purpose is, which will sound to you very counterintuitive. You'll probably think, well, this isn't a CPA firm. Yes, we are. Our higher purpose is we help people transform themselves into better leaders to exponentially improve their lives. Who doesn't want to exponentially improve their lives? So when I saw that, I was immediately hooked. And so we really invest in our professionals. We work on your leadership. And then we send you out to having your public accounting experience. That's a requirement. We send you out to a wide variety of clients. And these are just some of the few that we serve, to work on various projects. I'll take you back. IPO readiness, restructuring, process reengineering, financial restatements, carve-outs, internal audit, wide variety. What was attractive to me is you'll learn how to work at the direction of a client's control in various industries, in various roles, so that you can kind of find out what it is you truly want to do. If it's not audit or tax, and you've kind of determined that in your career. The other thing I was going to say is just some of the things that we're not, just to debunk the myths. We're not a headhunting firm. We don't provide auditing or tax services. We're a national CPA firm. We hire accountants with at least 3 years of experience out of public accounting. And we help our clients work on their most strategic projects. So just very high level. One of the things that really attracts me, and perhaps it attracts you as well, is we really focus on, or I really wanted to be the creator of my own career. So one of the things that Siegfried has helped me do personally, and kind of even achieve my goals and my dreams, is to elevate myself above, you know, public and private. And you can think of us as an accounting residency. So we kind of, the Navy SEALs of the accounting field is what our CEO likes to call us. You plop us into different companies, Fortune 1000, Fortune 500 companies, and we kind of sink or swim, and we go at it, and we learn, and we really kind of embody the role. So that is a lot of what we do. And I'd just like to ask you, you know, right now, kind of, what is your dream? And in light of your past experience, your current circumstances, and your future hopes and dreams, what would for you be the wisest thing to do? Because for me, the wisest thing to do was accounting. And accounting is an opportunity. It's a launching pad that can launch you into various other opportunities, into various other careers. You're not stuck to doing some of the things that may be in your mind. That is who an accountant is. And so thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions or insights, you can just feel free to plop them into the comment box.
Roxanne, thank you.
Thank you.
Roxanne, I think that if you come out of your shell and you become a little more outgoing, you have a great future. Great job. Seriously. Great job. I love your presentation. I think you're acting as we're speaking. So you did follow up on that part of your dream, right?
Yes, thank you.
You did a great job. So anyways, listen, we have a question for Suzanne, and it's actually a very good question. Suzanne, if you hear me, the question is very straightforward. How have you found what you learned in the audit class compared to real life auditing? And that can apply to any of you guys that are doing auditing, but that's great. It's a great question. How does the class environment compare to real life auditing? And
that's actually a really great question. I would say that in your audit class, you're learning the foundation. So you're learning about the different audit assertions. You're learning about things that you're going to apply to the audit world. And your audit class is also very important for the CPA exam. So everything you learn in your audit class is actually extremely helpful for passing the audit portion of the CPA exam, which you need in order to continue your career in public accounting. But you're also going to be able to apply the different assertions and biases and things that you're learning in your audit class to the audit world. But what you're doing on the day-to-day of the audit world is, you know, you're learning the language of business. So it's the application of it that makes it different.
That's great. That's great. And we have another, and that's a great question. It's a great response. I really appreciate it. We have another great question here, and that's to any of the professionals out there. You know, what is the advice you wish someone would have told you before you enter the workforce? If you could go back, if you could say, well, I wish I would have known this, or I wish somebody would have told me that, what would that be? So the Llano's brothers look like they're thinking. They're holding the shin.
Can I speak up?
One of the things that I really, or at least I wish I did stronger, was just, you know, making sure that I think I do have a really good core group of people that I still stay in touch with from my graduating class, especially like my master's in accounting class, because those were the kids that obviously were for sure going to be focused on accounting, whether they joined Big Four or not. They definitely had goals in mind, and they were very goal oriented, and were very they all were aspiring to things, whether it was audit or tax, and just making sure that I wish I knew more. And like now, that's one of the best things about this accounting, about the Young Accounting Board, is that I get to meet people that are my age or a few years younger, a few years older, that are in the same industry. And so I think what we've all kind of been harping on a lot is network. And I know you guys will hear it if you guys go to other meetings or other presentations from other companies, but you really can't undervalue network and how huge it is, because just the few relationships that I have been able to maintain, I can't tell you how valuable they are. And so that is the thing that I would just make sure I would stress to the most, would be, you know, making sure that you're not just in one bubble. And so when I say one bubble, it really means like one circle of friends, whether you're part of Greek life or you're part of Beta Alpha Psi or AK Psi, or if you're part of one of those things, don't be part of one of those things. Be part of as many things as possible. Enter as many bubbles as possible. Put yourself in those uncomfortable positions where you will meet other people that you normally wouldn't meet and create friendships that you normally wouldn't create. And then once you have those friendships and once you've created those foundations, maintain those friendships and maintain those relationships, because those are the things that are going to help you along in life. And, you know, I mean, I know I hate to like, you know, really bring it up, but in a lot of cases, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Like, luckily, I know my brother and he just carries me on his back all the time. So it's like things like that like I get to use and abuse. And because
works out really well for me.
But, you know, at least, but it extends beyond my family, it extends to all the relationships that I have as friends. So the thing that I would harp on is opening those bubbles, opening up to those uncomfortable positions, and then strengthening and maintaining those relationships.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Jordan. I think, you know, when that question of what piece of advice, you know, you would give someone else, I thought, what would I tell, what advice would I give myself if, you know, just entering the workforce? And the first thing that came to mind was like, well, I tell myself to probably not be such a degenerate, but, you know, get my act together a little sooner. And no, but I definitely agree with Jordan. One of the things I would have stressed or wish I would have done more is just talk to more people and ask questions and keep an open mind. It's really important to ask questions to different groups of people, opening your network, and then understanding, you know, not only the different service lines that are out there, but the different types of businesses that there are, and just get a better handle on the things that exist out there. Because, you know, I found my footing in forensics, but it wasn't after, you know, working in audit and then tax. And then fortunately I found my place here and I love it. But I wouldn't have known about it if I didn't go out and, you know, talk to different people and get an understanding of the different things that exist out there. So along the same line, I definitely think that building your network, talking to people, asking questions is definitely one of the most important things that I would give someone starting out in the workforce now.
And it extends beyond the students. It extends to the faculty. Josh and I both have, you know, relationships with a lot of the teachers that we maintain, and we wouldn't be, I'm not gonna speak for both, but I think I can speak both in the sense where we wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't for the great faculty that we have and the leadership they provided. And I know other students that, you know, they've switched from firms, whether it's Big Four to smaller firms or smaller firms to Big Four, and it's because they've gone to those professors that they've had the relationships with, professors that are here today, and they said, hey, like, I'm really thinking about making a transition. Like, what can you, like, do you have anything that you can, like, any advice you can give me? And then the great thing about UM is they're so willing to help you. They get right on the phone. It's like, oh my God, this UM student who's got a master's in accounting, who's got a CPA, who's so qualified, blah, blah, blah. You think you want to go somewhere else? Okay, don't worry. We're going to put you somewhere where you think that we know you will succeed in. And so it extends beyond the students and your classmates. It extends to your teachers and your professors that we're also fortunate to have.
Thank you, guys. Now, I got another question here, but before I go on, I want to make sure that I mention the other YLG members that are here today. We have Andresa Carrasco, Jeff Cooperman, Robbie Chiste, and I hope I didn't mess up that last name. I apologize.
It's Chiste. You're right there. You got it.
Oh, great. I lucked out. Michael Hernandez, Jasmine Holmes, and Sofia Milian. So we appreciate you guys being here. So a couple of more good questions. And there's three that are more the same thing. So when you went to these career fairs, when you went to the interview, how do you put your best face on? How do you impress them? I guess the question. Anybody, Robbie, you want to hear?
I can take this one if it's okay. I'll take it.
Absolutely.
I would say that one of the most important things to do whenever you're interviewing, especially in, I mean, this really applies to any field that you're going into, but particularly with accounting, just because, I mean, we're very blessed in this profession to have so many different jobs, so many different things that we can go into. And really a lot of these, you know, sometimes we think that, oh, it's audit, tax, but really you can be, when you're graduating from UM, you could be within, for all you know, you could be within a year and a half of doing something totally different and outside of audit and tax, because you can get exposure to things very fast. and be doing something differently very quickly based on the network that you develop in that first year or so. But what I would say is with regards to, interviewing and whatnot, really, and this is said a lot, and I know sometimes it sounds cheesy, but it's really the truth. Just bring yourself, be the best version of yourself that you can be when you're interviewing and when you're interacting with people, because the biggest thing that you're going to want to really lean on when you're choosing where you want to go, because for the most part, especially in accounting, you're going to have choices. You're going to have a choice of where you want to go. And really that group of people that you're going to be around is going to be the most important thing that you choose, because you are going to be around these people for a very, very long time. I mean, it's, in this accounting profession, for the most part, doesn't really matter what firm you go to, you're going to be spending a significant amount of time with the people that you are around, and being yourself and them seeing you really truly be yourself. That's extremely important, because you're going to be able to see, who you connect with the most and who you're most comfortable with. And those are the types of people that you want to be with as you start your career. And that's going to really set you in the right position and in the right start to get your career going. So really just being yourself and not being nervous to be yourself. I mean, if an interview doesn't go so well with one firm, but you felt like you were being yourself, that's fine. There's another firm that probably that might be the next one up on your list that, you will fit in perfectly with that firm. I mean, so that's really the most important thing, I think, to with regards to interviewing.
Great job, Robbie. Loved your answer, Robbie. Great job. Listen, there's many questions, but we got 2.5 minutes left. So of all the questions, there's one here which I thought was very cool. Any of you guys were concerned that you're going to burn out after the first year and say, whoa, this is it. Get me out of accounting. How did you deal with the stress? Great question. I think a lot of people think about it. Most people don't answer, don't ask. So we got 2 minutes to answer. Who wants to take a shot at that? Step up.
Okay, I can take it. So I think it's really important to, everyone's going to have their moments. Everyone's going to want to throw an F-bomb in your cubicle or in your office. It's going to happen at one point or another in your career. I think the best way to kind of deal with that stress is to build the relationships within others in your office. You're not the only one feeling that way. There are others feeling that way. And it's just about talking it out. I mean, there's many times where, I do state and local tax. So for me to meet my deadline, I need the federal team to finish. Federal team is always late. So I have to do everything within a week. It's going to happen. So just be mindful and don't, if you're stressed, especially if you're leading a team, if you're stressed out, you're stressing them out. Make sure you don't really make it apparent, but make sure that you don't bottle it up inside so that you're feeling it even more later on. Just step out. Sometimes, like when we used to have our Coral Gables office, I just step out and maybe just grab a bite of Graziano's or something like that. Just step away and then come back and, just get a clear head. But definitely, make your connections and then, reach out and talk to others around there. Sometimes, at least with my team, I always make jokes or on a Friday, I know if it's been a long week, we'll go do happy hour somewhere and then, we'll pick it up over the weekend, but just make sure, you're vocal and you don't really bottle it up inside. The people that bottle it up are the ones that kind of burn out a lot faster than the rest of the group, I would say.
Chris, I've noticed a theme here. Napa Valley, Graziano's, go get a drink. I like that. So we all release stress in different manners, Chris. No problem. I have a little whiskey bottle in my office. I haven't been there since March, so it's waiting for me, but it's definitely there. All right. I'm sure you're going to hit it. Listen, we got to go, but before we go, we actually have 2 participant names that were drawn randomly, and they won an Apple AirPod Pro and a Bose headphones. So Madeline Bugumil won the Apple AirPod Pro, and Heather Johnson won the Bose headphones. So please reach out to Emmanuel, and he'll make sure you get it. Listen, an incredible presentation by all you guys and also the other members. Fantastic. The turnout was great. I enjoyed it, learned a lot. Great group. Thank you for showing up to all the students. I appreciate it. Emmanuel, I'll turn it over to you. Do we close it?
Thank you, Manny. Well, guys, thanks for coming. I would say if anyone has questions or wants to stick around for an extra couple of minutes, I'm happy to. I know some of the panelists are, so we could probably keep the actual event going for a couple more minutes. The two of winners, shoot me an email, edegeorge@miami.edu, and we'll get those. We'll get the what are they, earphones or whatever it is, FedExed out to you guys. But otherwise, I think Roxy, we still have Roxy, right? Good.
Yeah, I'm still
Oh,
here.
perfect. There was, I think, one question directed to you that I thought was interesting that I think other people might be pretty interested in too. Let me find it now. Sorry. I just have to go on the chat. I think it was, sorry. Career fairs. My chat is, oh, there we go. What's the difference between going from the Siegfried group versus going to big three consulting like BCG? So actually Siegfried group versus the bigger consulting.
Yeah, I think.
You had any insight on that?
No, that's a good question. I don't know too much about BCG, so just to put that out there, I don't. But one of the things that I think that differentiates us a lot is our leadership development. So we work a lot on developing our professionals with regards to leadership. We spend a lot of money doing, just helping you become a better leader, because we find that that kind of carries you through the rest of your life. So we do that piece that I guess I haven't seen in any other consulting firm, for instance. And I also think we're probably smaller in capacity, but we've been growing 30%, 33% a year. So I would say probably we're smaller. Maybe the different offerings, how we work with our clients is probably a little different. But I would be happy to kind of follow up on that question and do some more research as well. So thank you for asking that.
Perfect. All right, I am sort of mindful of the time, I think. Oh yeah, Sophia had some advice. Let's get to
This is the advice. Yeah, this was the advice to know when you what you would have known before starting, that there's no linear career path. I think Big Four is a good boot camp. I definitely think I always look at people with Big Four experience as a plus. But there's no linear path. Don't think that the only path is like auditing or tax and you have to make it to partner. I think that's like ingrained in us, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. But I like the idea that I branched out of accounting. I did some corporate accounting and I realized that month-end close was very boring and it wasn't for me. So now I found another spot for myself at Allview Systems. It's a fintech company and I'm basically project-based, which means that I kind of float around. A project could last 3 months, it could last 2 weeks, and I kind of get to meet different people across the company and share that like the finance department is meeting the needs of the other departments. So there's no linear path. Don't feel like you have to go into an accounting firm because you studied accounting. All companies need accountants. So definitely branch out. If you have an interest in whatever, reach out. You never know what's out there, and it could be a good fit.
All right. Awesome. All right. Thank you guys for coming along. Please, again, I think I said it, but I'll say it again. Reach out to me if any of the participants want any more information on sort of what was said today, this event, or in particular on the Young Leaders Group, right? So we can kind of they're very keen to speak to you guys, right? And they're recent alums that are in your shoes, not too long ago. So they're very keen to reach out to you guys. I know I saw some email addresses going on in the chat. But again, if you're unsure from the names here, I know most of you know me, so feel free to shoot an email to me and I can play matchmaker with some of the YLG members. But it's been great. Big thank you to the panelists. Big thank you to the YLG members that came to sort of answer the Q&A. And I guess everyone enjoy their Wednesday. And thanks very much. Cheers, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Beat Florida State.
Yes, sir.
That's the most important thing this week.
Most important.
It's good the Big Ten football is back soonish. So you can see the mighty Michigan back in play.
The schedule they brought out it's gonna be pretty good. Ohio State comes out pretty strong.
Yeah, that's right. It's gonna I mean, they're gonna beat us again like they do every year, but there it is. All right. Thank you guys.
All right, have a good night.
Bye. Have a great
we will
Have
thank
a
you
good one.
for those left. We'll share the recording on an online meeting.